Alright, so I believe this is episode 12 of DC Character Histories, and the reason why I decided to slow down on this series a little bit is because I wanted to add a little more diverse content to my channel. Since I did kind of realize I was doing these videos every third video, it kind of felt like, so I just decided to slow down a little bit, but I am not done with the series, of course. I'm going to continue coming out with new episodes. So for today's episode, we have a character named Parasite. And Parasite has gone through multiple changes through DC's history. In every continuity, Parasite's alias would change, and it's always somebody new, which is very interesting. Not exactly sure why they do it, but they do. But the one thing that doesn't change is that he's always a formidable opponent to Superman. Capable of stealing his abilities in a fight really makes Parasite more of a threat than other villains Superman may have. So let's learn more about him. I'm gonna go through all of the different variations of Parasite that we've seen and how they differ. So before we get into the first variation of him, let's start off with some of his character data. When he first debuted, it was in Action Comics Volume 1, issue number 340 from August 1966. When he was first created, his real name was Raymond Maxwell Jensen. Then in the modern age, from around the 80s to the late 2000s, he went by Rudolph Jones, and currently in the New 52 and DC Rebirth, he is Joshua Michael Allen. He is based out of Metropolis. His height and weight all vary depending on who he morphs into and what type of abilities he's using. His eyes are green and his hair is none, so he's bald. Some of his powers and abilities are life energy absorption, metahuman power absorption, and size alteration. Also the ability to morph into other people or creatures. His allies are the Suicide Squad and the Secret Society of Supervillains, and his enemies are Superman, Superboy, Supergirl, and the Justice League of America. So the first variation of Parasite, which was the Golden Age when he was first created, Raymond resentfully worked as a laborer for a research facility. Thinking the company was stashing employee payrolls in chemical vats, he opened one up and was saturated by radioactive energy, turning him into a purple beast named Parasite. He went off to devour the life force of the scientists as revenge to the company that he now blames for his disfigurement, even though it was his fault. Next, he decided to use this power and absorb the power from Superman, and when doing so, he also gained his memories. Parasite then learns that Superman is in fact Clark Kent and uses that as blackmail, telling Superman that if he tries to stop him from wreaking havoc in Metropolis, he will reveal Superman's identity. After some time, Parasite absorbed the life of many people in a part of Metropolis, and Superman could no longer stand by and watch. Even though his identity was threatened, he risked it by fighting Parasite. Parasite was unable to reveal Superman's true name due to the fact that everyone in the vicinity was unconscious because of the life absorption. Although every time they would trade punches, Superman would get weaker since he was touching Parasite, and every touch makes Parasite stronger. Even though by the end of the fight Parasite could have won, his body couldn't handle Superman's power any longer, and he evaporated into microscopic particles. Parasite would of course return over the years multiple times, but was never successful with his attempts to defeat Superman. Over the years, Parasite would steal the knowledge of scientists, escape an alien world who wanted him dead, steal Lex Luthor's company. He even created an item called the Prism of Power, which allowed him to absorb an enormous amount of energy and could even begin to create other dimensional beings on different Earths. He did that and much more, and still at the end of the day, it was the same result. Parasite could not defeat Superman. Now off into the modern age when they changed him to Rudolph Jones. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, Parasite's origin changed like many others. Rudolph Jones was a janitor in the Star Labs facility in Pittsburgh. Darkseid, the Lord of Apocalypse, remembered this man as a Raymond Jensen, aka Parasite, from before the Crisis event. Darkseid then manipulated and influenced Rudolph to think Star Labs was hiding something. Rudolph would check a waste container container thinking it would hold something valuable and was immediately exposed to radiation. It would effectively turn him into Parasite, but this time a green version instead of purple. After his creation, he would have multiple run-ins with Superman and the Justice League. He would even join the Suicide Squad for a time. During Parasite's time with the Suicide Squad, he was imprisoned at Belle Reve when he wasn't on missions like most other Suicide Squad members. The doctors at Belle Reve attempted to make him human again, but all they did was change his skin color to the more familiar purple and increased his absorption abilities, making him more powerful. After many years of run-ins with Superman, they found themselves fighting one another on the moon. During a long, hard-fought battle, Superman would blast Parasite with an immensely powerful amount of heat ray vision, but Parasite still absorbed it. When he did, Parasite then turned into an even bigger and freakish monster with sharp razor teeth like a leech. With all of his increased power and size that he gained, it did come with a downside though. He needed to increase his intake of larger amounts of energy to stay alive. After all this, Parasite would spend some time being studied at Star Labs. He eventually broke out and planned one final revenge attack against Superman. Parasite would stalk Lois Lane knowing that Superman was close to her. To stalk her more efficiently, he morphed into the form of one of his recent victims, an old man. Parasite, as the old man, happened to come into contact with Lois, which was enough to give Parasite the knowledge of Superman's identity. Realizing how close Clark and Lois were, Parasite would even take her and try to emotionally tear down Superman by being a scorned version of Lois in their relationship. Parasite would have been successful in his plan if Superman wasn't so concerned about his relationship with Lois and trying to fix their romantic problems. Knowing that Clark would never give up on Lois, Parasite, posing as Lois, got so angry that he punched Clark out of their apartment and into the streets of Metropolis. Revealing Lois to have been Parasite this whole time, they battled to the death. Superman, already weakened and exhausted due to the fact that Parasite was slowly draining his power when he posed as Lois, Parasite was about to land the final blow, but just before he could, he suddenly felt weakened. Parasite was suffering from kryptonite poisoning that he absorbed from Superman. In Parasite's dying moments, he tells Superman that Lois is still alive and that he needed to have contact with her every 24 hours to maintain his appearance as her. Parasite then tells Superman that he could feel her thoughts and memories, and that she loves him more than he could ever know. After that sentence, Rudolph Jones passes away. Then into the newest continuities, the New 52 and the Rebirth continuity, there isn't that many stories that have been told with Parasite so far, but this is what we know the most. His origin story changes are the biggest of the past two we just learned about. Joshua Michael Allen is a bike courier in Metropolis, and one day crashes into an alien green blob that lands into the streets. After crashing into it, he loses consciousness, and he eventually wakes up to find himself in a hospital where he is suffering from an alien flu. Joshua was then checked into Star Labs where he would have been diagnosed better, but this is when he officially turns into Parasite. Absorbing the life of all the people around him, he wanted to kill himself because of what was happening to him. Just before he could, Superman shows up at the lab and Parasite manages to touch him. The immense power Parasite gained changed his perspective, and then decided that metahuman absorption would be his new goal and obsession. When the crime syndicate of Earth 3 came to our Earth, check out this video about the crime syndicate if you haven't seen it yet. Parasite joined the secret society of supervillains from that Earth, in hopes that they could defeat our Justice League. When all was said and done though, and Earth 3 was officially defeated, Parasite joined the Suicide Squad. Now, as for Elseworlds content, you can find many different iterations of Parasite in non-canon or Elseworld type stories. Most of them are still about him being an energy absorption villain with slight differences. But for DC and Marvel fans alike, this is a really interesting one. In a DC and Marvel crossover between Superman and Spider-Man, Dr. Doom recruits Parasite to help him destroy the world's power sources, leaving only Dr. Doom's power source intact. Capturing Wonder Woman and the Hulk, Parasite was capable of feeding off of their energy and making him a near invincible bodyguard for Dr. Doom. Although Dr. Doom's true intention was to use Parasite as a reactor for his own fusion source after all of the world's reactors are destroyed. So during a fight with Superman and Spider-Man, Parasite touches Spider-Man, which gave Parasite the ability to use spider sense. Parasite then saw that Dr. Doom was planning on betraying him, so Parasite turns on Dr. Doom and destroys his reactor equipment, which would have also allowed Doom the ability to drain the powers of Superman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, and Hulk. Now that's about it for like the main points of who Parasite is as a character and a villain. I think Parasite is a really interesting villain for Superman because Superman needs to find a way to counteract a character that can literally take away everything that Superman is, which is a god. But other than the fact that he is a character that Superman may struggle with from time to time, I don't really think Parasite is any more than that, and I do think that is why DC doesn't often use his character all that much. Not saying that's a bad thing, but there are definitely better villains that test Superman in much more interesting ways, and better ways too, because Parasite always just seems to lose at the end. And even though all villains tend to lose at the end, usually the villains can come away with even a shred of victory, but it always seems like Parasite just can't get away with any win at all. But other than that, he's still a decent character, and it would be neat to see him in some sort of live action or video game presence. But anyways, everyone, that is it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of DC Character Histories. If you haven't checked my other videos of these, I will put the playlist down in the description below, and I will also link a card to the video right now that you can click on and watch. And also too, if you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the things I got going on, these DC videos, these new podcast videos, anything in the entertainment industry, comedy, action, superheroes, sci-fi, it's all here for you. But anyways, everyone, that is it for this one, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.